In today's hyperconnected world, we have deceived ourselves into thinking that constant availability equals productivity, success, and fulfillment. We pride ourselves on quick email responses, immediate text replies, and an open-door policy for everyone's problems. "I'm always available" has become a badge of honor, a marker of dedication. The red notification badge on your phone gives you a rush of adrenaline. Someone needs you, and you feel important, valued, necessary. But what if this constant availability is precisely what's holding you back from greatness? The ancient Stoics, those pragmatic philosophers who emphasized personal control and mental resilience, understood something fundamental about human excellence that we've forgotten. True power comes not from being always available, but from being deliberately unavailable. Marcus Aurelius, emperor of Rome and devoted Stoic, wrote in his personal journal, "People try to get away from it all, to the country, to the beach, to the mountains. You always wish that you could too, which is idiotic. You can get away from it any time you like, by going within." Marcus understood that true freedom wasn't found in escaping physical locations, but in controlling what claimed your attention. Consider for a moment the extraordinary individuals throughout history who created lasting impact, from Leonardo da Vinci and Isaac Newton to Warren Buffett and Cal Newport. What do they share in common? They all practiced strategic unavailability. They created systems that protected their time and attention from the trivial many to focus on the vital few. Today, we'll explore how strategically withdrawing your availability can transform every dimension of your life, from your productivity and creative output to your relationships, mental clarity, and sense of purpose. Drawing from timeless Stoic wisdom and modern psychology, you'll discover why becoming less available to others means becoming more available to what truly matters. This isn't about becoming cold or disconnected. It's about recognizing that your time, attention, and energy are finite, sacred resources, and that by protecting them fiercely, everything will change. Part 1. The illusion of constant availability. The modern availability trap. Today we carry tiny computers in our pockets that ensure we're perpetually available. The average person checks their phone 96 times a day, roughly once every 10 minutes. We've been conditioned to believe this is normal, even necessary. Look around you in any setting, the coffee shop, the dinner table, the park bench, and you'll see people reflexively reaching for their phones at the slightest hint of boredom or discomfort. The modern human exists in a state of continuous partial attention, never fully here, never fully there, always partially available to everything. This constant connectivity comes with a steep price, one that manifests in ways both obvious and subtle. Chronic stress and anxiety. The body's cortisol system was never designed for constant alertness. Inability to engage in deep work. The cognitive switching costs devastate your ability to solve complex problems. Fragmentation of attention. Your mind becomes conditioned to expect interruption. Relationship degradation. Physical presence paired with mental absence hollows out connections. Loss of autonomy. Your agenda becomes subordinate to whoever demands your attention most insistently. Seneca, the Roman Stoic philosopher, warned, "To be everywhere is to be nowhere." When you're always available to everyone and everything, you become effectively unavailable to yourself and to deep, meaningful work. Consider the vivid contrast between two approaches to the same morning. Person A, constantly available. 6:30 a.m. Alarm goes off. Immediately checks phone. 6:32 a.m. Responds to 3 emails that arrived overnight. 6:45 a.m. Checks social media while getting ready. 7:15 a.m. Takes a call while commuting. 8 a.m. Arrives at work. Attends to instant messages. 9 a.m. Starts on important project. Interrupted by phone call. 9:20 a.m. Returns to project. Interrupted by email notification. 9:35 a.m. Returns to project. Interrupted by colleague stopping by. 10 a.m. meeting. 11 a.m. Returns to project. Now fragmented and behind schedule. Person B, strategically unavailable. 6:30 a.m. Alarm goes off. Phone remains in do not disturb mode. 6:32 a.m. Morning journal and meditation practice. 7 a.m. Exercise without digital interruptions. 8 a.m. Arrives at work. Engages in 90 minutes of deep work on important project. 9:30 a.m. Significant progress made on project. 9:45 a.m. First check of messages. Batch processes communications. 10:30 a.m. meeting. 11:30 a.m. Returns to focused work with clear boundaries. By noon, person B has accomplished substantially more on what matters most, while person A has been busy but ineffective, pulled in countless directions. Consider for a moment what remains perpetually unfinished in your life. That important project you can't seem to complete. That book you've been meaning to write. That skill you've wanted to master. That relationship that needs deeper attention. That strategic thinking your business requires. All of these require uninterrupted focus and deep attention. Precisely what constant availability destroys. The false virtue of immediate response. We've collectively embraced a dangerous assumption that immediate response is a virtue. We feel guilty when we don't immediately reply to messages. We worry that others will think we're negligent, unprofessional, or uncaring. This assumption operates at both conscious and unconscious levels. The professional level. Good employees respond quickly. The relational level. Good friends are always there. The social level. Good community members stay engaged. The digital level. Good online citizens participate constantly. These unexamined beliefs create a prison of perpetual responsiveness from which few escape. But Epictetus, the former slave who became one of Stoicism's greatest teachers, would question this assumption. Make the best use of what is in your power and take the rest as it happens. Your response time to others is within your power. The judgments others make about your response time is not. Consider historical perspective. For most of human history, immediate response was impossible. Messages took days, weeks, or months to arrive. The expectation of instantaneous reply is entirely modern and entirely arbitrary. In 1941, a letter from Europe to America might take weeks to arrive. Was the recipient considered negligent for not immediately replying? Of course not. The constraint was built into the communication medium itself. Today, we must consciously reintroduce those constraints that technology has eliminated. We must create artificial delays that serve our deeper purposes. Specific consequences of immediate response include trained helplessness in others. When you're always available to solve problems, others stop developing problem-solving capacity. Deprioritization of deep work. Immediate response to shallow matters takes precedence over important, non-urgent deep work. Task switching costs. Each interruption creates a cognitive debt of 23 minutes before returning to full productivity. Increased error rates. Work performed in a state of continuous interruption contains more mistakes. Relationship imbalance. You train others that your time is less valuable than theirs. The Stoics teach us to focus on what we can control. You cannot control others' expectations, but you can control your boundaries. The false economy of constant interruption. Research from the University of California found that it takes an average of 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back to a task after an interruption. If you're interrupted just 5 times during your workday, you've lost nearly 2 hours of productive time, not counting the interruption itself. This creates what economists call a negative externality, a hidden cost not reflected in the immediate transaction. When someone interrupts you with a quick question that takes 2 minutes to answer, the true cost includes the 2 minutes of conversation, the 23+ minutes of recovery time, the increased error rate upon returning to your task, the psychological strain of fragmented focus, the opportunity cost of what you could have created in an uninterrupted state. This is what the Stoics would call false economy, trading what appears valuable in the moment, responding quickly, for what is truly valuable, focused attention on meaningful work. A 2018 study in the Journal of Experimental Psychology found that the mere presence of a smartphone, even when turned off and face down, reduced cognitive capacity. Your brain allocates resources to the potential of interruption, even when no interruption occurs. Marcus Aurelius advised, ask yourself at every moment, is this necessary? Is it necessary to check your email every 5 minutes? Is it necessary to respond to every notification immediately? Is it necessary to make yourself available to everyone who demands your time? Let's examine how this plays out in a typical workday. 8:30 a.m. You begin working on an important report. 8:37 a.m. A Slack notification appears. You switch to respond. 8:52 a.m. You return to the report, but must reorient yourself. 9:16 a.m. You regain full focus. 9:22 a.m. Your phone rings. A colleague with a question. 9:27 a.m. You return to the report, again needing to reorient. 9:51 a.m. You regain full focus. 10:03 a.m. Email notification. You check quickly. 10:08 a.m. Back to the report. Reorientation required again. 10:32 a.m. Focus finally returns. In this scenario, between 8:30 a.m. and 10:32 a.m., 2 hours, you had approximately 35 minutes of actual focused work on your most important task. The rest was spent responding or recovering from response. The answer, more often than not, is no. These interruptions are not necessary. They are habitual, expected, comfortable, but not necessary. Part 2. The Stoic approach to availability. Selective availability as a virtue. The Stoics weren't hermits. They didn't advocate complete withdrawal from society. Rather, they practiced selective availability, being intentional about when, where, how, and to whom they made themselves available. Seneca, despite being a wealthy Roman statesman with enormous social obligations, wrote to his friend Lucilius, "I never spend a day in idleness. I appropriate even a part of the night for study. I do not allow time for sleep, but yield to it when I must. And when my eyes are wearied with waking and ready to fall shut, I keep them at their task." Seneca was busy, but on his own terms. He made himself available to philosophy, to writing, to deep thought, and unavailable to trivialities. This selective availability wasn't selfishness. It was stewardship of his finite resources. The Stoic concept of preferred indifference is instructive here. The Stoics categorized everything outside of virtue as indifferent to true happiness, but acknowledged that some indifference, like health and wealth, were still preferred. In modern terms, while responding to others isn't essential to your worth as a person, some responses are still more valuable than others. Consider how selective availability manifests. Low-value availability, minimize. Responding to every social media notification. Attending meetings where you add minimal value. Engaging with trolls or critics operating in bad faith. Consuming news and content that doesn't serve your development. Participating in gossip or unproductive complaints. High-value availability, maximize. Deep conversations with close friends and family. Mentoring those with genuine commitment to growth. Concentrated work on your most important projects. Learning from true masters in your field. Reflection and contemplation of life's bigger questions. Cicero, another Roman influenced by Stoic thought, observed, "Never is a man more active than when he does nothing. Never is he less alone than when he is by himself." This paradox, that strategic unavailability creates the conditions for more meaningful activity and connection, is at the heart of the Stoic approach. The 3 domains of strategic unavailability. From a Stoic perspective, becoming strategically unavailable involves 3 key domains. Physical unavailability. Creating physical spaces and times where you cannot be reached or interrupted. Physical environment modifications. Closing doors, using headphones, working in isolation. Geographical boundaries. Working from locations where interruptions are minimized. Temporal boundaries. Establishing specific hours of unavailability. Signal mechanisms. Using physical indicators of focus, e.g., a specific hat or light that indicates deep work. Proxy barriers. Using assistants or gatekeepers to filter interruptions. Digital unavailability. Establishing boundaries around when and how you engage with technology and digital communications. Notification management. Disabling all non-essential alerts. App restrictions. Removing distracting applications from devices. Time-blocking digital engagement. Specific periods for emails, messages, and social media. Device-free periods. Designated times when digital tools are entirely inaccessible. Communication hierarchy. Clear systems for what constitutes an emergency worthy of interruption. Mental unavailability. Developing the inner discipline to make your mind unavailable to distractions, worries, and unproductive thoughts. Attention training. Meditation and mindfulness practices. Thought filtering. Distinguishing between useful and unproductive mental patterns. Worry scheduling. Designated times for processing concerns rather than constant rumination. Present moment anchoring. Techniques for returning to current tasks when the mind wanders. Cognitive boundaries. Clearly defined mental transitions between activities. Epictetus taught, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Being master of yourself means controlling your availability in all three domains, not letting external demands dictate how you allocate your attention. This mastery was evident in the lives of history's most productive individuals. Thomas Edison maintained a separate laboratory specifically to be unavailable to the business demands of his main facility. Bill Gates twice annually takes Think Weeks, where he is completely unavailable except for family emergencies. Cal Newport, author of Deep Work, maintains strict unavailability to email until late afternoon, protecting his morning for cognitive challenges. The Stoic calendar versus the open calendar. Many modern professionals pride themselves on having open calendars, where anyone can book time with them. This approach would horrify the Stoics, who were extraordinarily protective of their time. Seneca wrote, "People are frugal in guarding their personal property, but as soon as it comes to squandering time, they are most wasteful of the one thing in which it is right to be stingy." Consider the stark difference between two approaches to the calendar. The open calendar approach. Calendar is public to the organization. Anyone can book available slots. Time is allocated first come, first served. Meetings dominate the workday. Deep work must fit around meetings. Inevitably fills with low-value activities. The Stoic calendar approach. Calendar begins with protected blocks for high-value work. Others can book only during designated available hours. Time is allocated based on strategic priorities. Deep work dominates the schedule. Meetings must justify their existence. Deliberately preserves space for the essential. The Stoic approach to the calendar is fundamentally different. Block time for deep work first. Before anything else gets scheduled, reserve large, uninterrupted blocks for your most important creative and intellectual work. Example: Cal Newport schedules deep work blocks from 8:30 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. daily, before any meetings are permitted. Create buffers between commitments. Avoid back-to-back scheduling that leaves no time for reflection or transition. Example: Bill Gates insists on 30-minute breaks between meetings to process information and prepare for the next engagement. Schedule regular periods of complete unavailability. Establish sacred times where you are unavailable to everyone except in true emergencies. Example: Writer Neil Gaiman makes himself completely unavailable during his morning writing session, even to family except for genuine emergencies. Review calendar requests against your core values. Before accepting any meeting or commitment, ask, does this align with my highest purposes? Example: Warren Buffett famously says, the difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything. Consolidate shallow tasks. Batch emails, phone calls, and administrative work into designated time blocks rather than letting them scatter throughout your day. Example: Tim Ferriss checks email just twice daily, at noon and 4 p.m., batching all responses during these periods. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself daily. Focus on what is your own work, and you'll see that you have enough to occupy your time to life's end without needless distractions. The Emperor of Rome, who commanded a vast empire, understood that even he needed to protect his focus from the endless demands of others. Part 3. The transformation of work and creativity. Deep work and Stoic focus. Cal Newport, in his book Deep Work, defines it as professional activities performed in a state of distraction-free concentration that push your cognitive capabilities to their limit. This concept would be intimately familiar to the Stoics, who placed tremendous value on focused attention. Epictetus advised, if you wish to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid with regard to external things. The Stoic is willing to appear unresponsive or unavailable in the short term to produce work of lasting value in the long term. Consider how fundamentally different deep work is from normal work. Shallow work characteristics can be performed while distracted, requires minimal cognitive effort, produces outputs that are easily replicated, creates minimal long-term value. Examples: routine emails, basic administrative tasks, most meetings. Deep work characteristics: requires intense concentration, pushes cognitive capabilities to their limits, produces outputs difficult for others to replicate, creates significant long-term value. Examples: writing a book, strategic planning, complex problem-solving, mastering difficult skills. The science confirms what the Stoics intuitively understood. Neurologically, deep work engages the brain's prefrontal cortex in a way that shallow, distracted work does not. This engagement is necessary for myelin development, the neural insulation that strengthens crucial brain connections. Default mode network activation, the brain state associated with creative insights. Flow state achievement, the psychological state of optimal performance. When you become strategically unavailable, your capacity for deep work expands dramatically. This leads to higher quality output. Work produced in deep focus has fewer errors and greater insight. Example: J.K. Rowling rented a hotel room to make herself unavailable while finishing the last Harry Potter book, resulting in heightened quality and faster completion. Greater originality. Creative connections emerge when the mind is allowed to dive deeply into problems without interruption. Example: Darwin's groundbreaking theory of evolution emerged during long, uninterrupted walks on his thinking path at Down House, where he was unavailable to visitors. Accelerated skill development. Deliberate practice requires sustained concentration. Example: chess grandmasters typically engage in 4 to 5 hours of deep, focused practice daily, making themselves unavailable to distractions during this time. Increased completion rate. Projects move from perpetual in progress to actually finished. Example: software developers at Red Hat found that uninterrupted hack weeks led to more completed projects than months of fragmented work time. Heightened professional reputation. Over time, the quality of your work speaks louder than your response time to emails. Example: deep thinkers like physicist Richard Feynman were known for being periodically unavailable, but produced work of such quality that it enhanced rather than damaged their reputations. The compounding returns of protected time. Warren Buffett famously said, "The difference between successful people and very successful people is that very successful people say no to almost everything." This is Stoicism applied to modern success. The magic of compound interest is well understood in finance. Small, consistent investments yield exponential returns over time. The same principle applies to protected, focused time. When you protect large blocks of time by being unavailable, you create the conditions for compound growth in your work. Day 1 of focused work. You make some progress on a difficult problem. Day 5 of focused work. Solutions begin emerging as neural pathways strengthen. Day 30 of focused work. Breakthroughs happen as specialized neural networks form. Day 100 of focused work. Mastery develops through myelin reinforcement. Day 1000 of focused work. You create work that changes your field through accumulated expertise. Consider specific examples. Adam Grant, organizational psychologist, makes himself entirely unavailable for teaching, meetings, and communication 2 days per week. Produces more peer-reviewed research than entire departments. Has written multiple best-selling books while maintaining an academic career. Attributes his productivity entirely to these protected blocks. Maya Angelou, author, rented a hotel room where she wrote from 6:30 a.m. to 2 p.m., made herself completely unavailable during these hours, produced a body of work spanning over 50 years, created enduring literature that few of her constantly available contemporaries achieved. Bill Gates, Microsoft founder, takes Think Weeks twice annually, where he is completely unavailable. During these weeks, reads papers and thinks deeply about strategic direction. Many of Microsoft's major strategic shifts emerged from these periods. created billions in value through strategic unavailability. The person who remains constantly available never experiences these compounding returns. They stay perpetually in day one, starting over with each interruption. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Do not waste what remains of your life in speculating about your neighbors, to wonder what so-and-so is doing and why. Such things keep you from attending to your own ruling faculty." By becoming strategically unavailable to distractions, you make yourself available to excellence. The counterintuitive path to greater impact. There is a paradox at the heart of strategic unavailability. By being less accessible in the short term, you become more valuable in the long term. Consider the contrasting approaches. Person A, constantly available, responds to all messages within minutes, takes every meeting requested, switches tasks constantly to address immediate needs, works reactively based on others' priorities, produces a large volume of shallow work. Person B, strategically unavailable, responds to messages in batch time blocks, accepts meetings selectively based on clear criteria, protects large chunks of uninterrupted time, works proactively based on personal mission, produces smaller volume of deeper, more impactful work. Let's examine how this plays out across a 5-year career span. Year 1. Person A appears more responsive, helpful, and team-oriented. Person A receives praise for quick responses and availability. Person B appears more selective and occasionally frustrates colleagues. Person B completes one significant project that creates lasting value. Person A holds slight advantage in organizational perception. Year 3. Person A continues pattern of responsiveness. Person A is known as reliable but not exceptional. Person B has completed several significant projects. Person B's work begins attracting attention beyond the organization. Perception advantage shifts to Person B. Year 5. Person A is trapped in cycle of responsiveness. Person A has created little of lasting significance. Person B has developed rare and valuable skills. Person B's work has changed the trajectory of the organization. Person B's strategic unavailability is now seen as justified. Over a year, Person A will appear more responsive and helpful, but Person B will create work of lasting significance. Over 5 years, Person B's impact will dwarf Person A's contribution. The Stoics understood this long-term perspective. Seneca wrote, "Let all your efforts be directed to something. Let it keep that end in view." It's not activity that disturbs people, but false conceptions of things that drive them mad. The false conception here is that constant availability serves your long-term interests. It does not. It trades the significant for the immediate, the important for the urgent. Part 4. The reclamation of mental clarity. The Stoic mind versus the reactive mind. The Stoics placed tremendous value on mental clarity. They understood that constant availability creates a reactive mind, one that's perpetually responding to external stimuli rather than operating from internal purpose. Epictetus taught, "Make it your study then to confront every harsh impression with the words, 'You are but an impression, and not at all what you seem to be.'" This practice of examining impressions requires mental space, precisely what constant availability eliminates. The cognitive differences between these two mental states are profound. The reactive mind, dominated by the brain's limbic system, driven by external stimuli, operates from threat response patterns, engages in shallow processing, seeks quick resolution to reduce tension, vulnerable to cognitive biases, makes decisions from emotion, not reason. The Stoic mind, guided by the prefrontal cortex, driven by internal values, operates from principle and purpose, engages in deep processing, tolerates healthy tension for better outcomes, recognizes and compensates for biases, makes decisions from reason, not emotion. When you stop being available to every notification, request, and distraction, you reclaim the mental bandwidth needed for proper prioritization, distinguishing between what merely seems urgent and what is truly important. Example, Warren Buffett's two-list system requires mental space to identify your true priorities versus mere good ideas. Emotional regulation, processing feelings before responding, rather than reacting impulsively. Example, Abraham Lincoln wrote hot letters when angry but never sent them, giving himself space to respond rather than react. Perspective maintenance. Keeping small problems small instead of letting them dominate your consciousness. Example. Bill Gates regularly reads about the greatest challenges facing humanity, which helps him maintain perspective on daily annoyances. Opportunity recognition. Noticing emerging patterns and possibilities that are invisible in a state of constant reaction. Example. Steve Jobs' breakthrough insights often came during his walking meditations, not while responding to emails. Wisdom cultivation. Extracting meaningful lessons from experiences rather than just accumulating experiences. Example. Benjamin Franklin's evening reflection ritual allowed him to extract wisdom from each day's events. The neurological evidence is clear. A brain in constant reaction mode physically cannot engage in the higher-order thinking necessary for these functions. The amygdala emotional center overrides the prefrontal cortex reasoning center when in a state of continuous partial attention. The practice of scheduled reflection. Marcus Aurelius didn't write his meditations while simultaneously answering messages from his generals. He created specific times for reflection, a practice at the heart of Stoicism. The strategically unavailable person schedules regular periods for reflection. Daily morning reflection to set intentions, 15 to 30 minutes. Review your core principles and values. Identify the 1 to 3 most important tasks for the day. Anticipate potential challenges and prepare responses. Connect daily actions to larger purpose. Example. CEO Ray Dalio starts each day with 20 minutes of transcendental meditation to clear his mind before setting daily priorities. Midday pause to recalibrate priorities, 5 to 10 minutes. Assess morning progress. Adjust afternoon focus based on developments. Reset mental and emotional state. Reconnect with key intentions. Example. LinkedIn CEO Jeff Weiner schedules 2 30-minute blocks daily for reflection rather than meetings. Evening review to extract lessons, 15 to 30 minutes. Evaluate what went well and why. Identify improvement opportunities. Extract principle-level learnings. Prepare mind for restorative sleep. Example. Benjamin Franklin famously asked himself each evening, "What good have I done today?" to extract lessons from his experiences. Weekly deeper assessment of progress, 30 to 60 minutes. Review the week's achievements and challenges. Connect weekly activities to monthly and yearly goals. Identify patterns requiring adjustment. Plan the coming week intentionally. Example. Bill Gates takes Think Weekends in addition to his biannual Think Weeks to reflect on shorter-term progress. Quarterly withdrawal for strategic thinking, 4 to 8 hours. Evaluate progress toward annual goals. Identify shifting contexts requiring adaptation. Reconnect with deeper purpose. Make significant strategic adjustments. Example. Steve Jobs took quarterly offsites with his top team at Apple to step back and think strategically. During these times, you are completely unavailable to external demands, but fully available to yourself. Seneca advised, "Each day acquire something that will fortify you against poverty, against death, indeed against other misfortunes as well. And after you have run over many thoughts, select one to be thoroughly digested that day." This digestion of thoughts requires protected time. Without it, wisdom remains unextracted, buried beneath the constant flow of stimulus and response. The liberation from false urgency. Modern life is dominated by a sense of false urgency. The feeling that everything needs immediate attention when in reality, very few things are truly time-sensitive. The Stoics practiced distinguishing between the truly urgent and the merely pressing. Epictetus taught, "Some things are in our control and others not." Most of what presents itself as urgent falls into the category of not in our control, and therefore not deserving of our immediate attention. False urgency manifests in specific ways. The urgent email. How many emails marked urgent actually contain life or death information? The immediate meeting request. How many emergency meetings address truly time-sensitive issues? The breaking news alert. How many news items require your immediate attention or action? The ASAP request. How often does as soon as possible truly mean within the next few hours? The vibrating phone. How many notifications represent Genuine emergencies. Consider this taxonomy of urgency. Genuinely urgent. Respond immediately. Medical emergencies. True safety threats. Irreversible high-stakes deadlines, e.g., filing critical legal documents. Genuine crisis situations affecting key stakeholders. Seemingly urgent can wait for scheduled processing. Most work emails, even those marked urgent. The majority of phone calls. Most meeting requests. Almost all text messages. Nearly all social media notifications. Not urgent. Handle during low-value time. Administrative tasks. Updates and status reports. FYI communications. Most news and information consumption. When you stop being available to false urgency you experience. Reduced anxiety. The perpetual tension of trying to keep up with everything subsides. Example. Tim Ferriss describes his anxiety dropping by 80% when he established twice-daily email processing instead of constant checking. Improved decision-making. Decisions made under artificial time pressure are rarely optimal. Example. Jeff Bezos categorizes decisions as Type 1 irreversible and Type 2 reversible, and only treats Type 1 decisions as truly urgent. Greater presence. When you're not constantly rushing to the next thing, you can be fully present with the current thing. Example. Mindfulness teacher John Kabat-Zinn found that leaders who practice non-reactivity demonstrate measurably better presence in meetings. Increased energy. The drain of constant task switching diminishes. Example. Energy management expert Tony Schwartz discovered that urgency-driven task switching depletes glucose levels in the brain faster than sustained focus. Heightened discernment. You develop a sharper sense of what truly matters. Example. Former President Barack Obama simplified his wardrobe to reduce decision fatigue and preserve judgment for truly important matters. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. By becoming unavailable to false urgency, you revoke its power over your mind. Part 5. The evolution of relationships. Quality over quantity in human connection. The Stoics valued deep human connection, but they were selective about their associations. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you. Welcome those whom you are capable of improving." The process is a mutual one. Men learn as they teach. When you stop being indiscriminately available, your relationships naturally evolve from many shallow connections to fewer, deeper ones. Consider how relationships change when you become strategically unavailable. People value your time more. When your availability isn't unlimited, others make better use of the time they have with you. Example. Executive coach Marshall Goldsmith found that leaders who set clear boundaries around their time received more prepared, substantive engagement from team members. Conversations deepen. Interactions shift from hasty exchanges to more meaningful dialogue. Example. Author Susan Cain schedules 90-minute conversations with friends rather than brief check-ins, creating space for vulnerability and meaningful exchange. Mutual respect increases. People respect boundaries that you clearly establish and maintain. Example. Therapist and author Brené Brown reports that clients who maintain clear boundaries receive more respect from colleagues than those who are perpetually available. You attract the right people. Those seeking superficial connection fade away. Those valuing substance remain. Example. Writer and entrepreneur Derek Sivers found that when he became more selective with his time, the quality of his professional network dramatically improved. Dependencies dissolve. People develop their own resources rather than reflexively turning to you. Example. Management expert David Marquet discovered that naval officers developed greater competence when their commanding officers were strategically unavailable for routine decisions. The transformation extends to specific relationship contexts. Professional relationships. Before strategic unavailability. Constantly interrupted by colleagues with quick questions. Expected to respond to all communications immediately. Perceived as always on call for others' needs. Valued for responsiveness rather than contribution. After strategic unavailability. Approached only for substantive matters. Communication is more prepared and purposeful. Respected for focus and boundaries. valued for unique contribution and expertise. From reactive to proactive, you shift from responding to life to creating it. As Seneca wrote, "The greatest blessings of mankind are within us and within our reach. A wise man is content with his lot, whatever it may be, without wishing for what he is not." From scattered to focused, your energy consolidates around what truly matters. Marcus Aurelius advised, "If you seek tranquility, do less." Not doing less for the sake of laziness, but doing less of what is unessential. From external validation to internal worth, your sense of value shifts from others' approval to your own integrity. As Epictetus taught, make it your study to dwell on your own excellence and other people's faults. From scarcity to abundance, perhaps counterintuitively, becoming less available creates a sense of abundance rather than limitation. When you stop squandering your time and attention, you discover you have more than enough for what truly matters. Part 10. The challenge. Beginning your journey. The principles I've shared today are simple to understand, but challenging to implement. They run counter to powerful social conditioning and the default settings of our technological environment. I challenge you to begin today with one small step. Identify one period tomorrow where you will be completely unavailable. Communicate this boundary clearly to relevant people. During this time, engage fully with something that matters deeply to you. Notice what arises: resistance, relief, insights, discomfort. Learn and adjust for the next practice period. As Seneca reminds us, begin at once to live, and count each separate day as a separate life. This journey toward strategic unavailability is not about isolation or selfishness. It's about creating the conditions where you can make your highest contribution to the world. The Stoics understood that we serve others best when we govern ourselves well. By reclaiming your attention and availability, you create the possibility of showing up fully for what matters most. Conclusion. We began this exploration with a bold claim: everything will change when you stop being available. The wisdom of the Stoics confirms this truth. When you become strategically unavailable, you reclaim your most precious resources, your time and your attention. From this reclamation flows a cascade of positive changes. Your work deepens. Your relationships strengthen. Your influence grows. Your self-knowledge expands. Your peace increases. As Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Strategic unavailability is not about withdrawal from life, but about engaging with it on your own terms, deliberately, purposefully, meaningfully. The Stoics knew this wisdom millennia ago. In our age of unprecedented demands on our attention, their teachings have never been more relevant. May you have the courage to become unavailable to the many so that you can be truly present for the few things that matter most. Remember, your time is finite. Your attention is precious. Guard them accordingly. Further reading and resources. For those wishing to deepen their understanding of Stoic philosophy and the practice of strategic unavailability, I recommend Ancient Stoic Texts, Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, Letters from a Stoic by Seneca, Discourses and Enchiridion by Epictetus, Modern Applications, Digital Minimalism by Cal Newport, The Daily Stoic by Ryan Holiday and Stephen Hanselman, Stillness is the Key by Ryan Holiday, 4,000 Weeks, Time Management for Mortals by Oliver Burkeman, Practices, Daily Journaling in the Stoic Tradition, Regular Digital Sabbats, 24-hour periods without technology, Meditation focused on distinguishing between what is within your control and what isn't, Scheduled periods of deep work with all communications disabled. Remember the words of Seneca: "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste a lot of it." By becoming strategically unavailable, you reclaim this wasted time and direct it toward what truly matters. This is not just a productivity hack. It is a philosophy of life, one that has stood the test of time for over 2,000 years. Begin today.